Hi, welcome to Grow New Plants. So it's finally spring here in Texas and my fig trees are starting to wake up. I just kind of for an example, these are a couple of the fig cuttings that I did over the winter, and I've got probably 50 of them moved outside, starting to acclimate them to the weather. And this one right here, this is one that I stuck last May. So it's not even a year old, but I stuck it, put it in a 1 gallon plant like this, grew it up, transplanted it in the middle of the summer into a 3 gallon Rootmaker pot. And then this winter, I took it and I pruned it back. I pruned 3 limbs, and then I don't know whether you can see them or not, but it's got buds coming out. So there's at least 2 buds coming off of all 3 of these limbs. So it should have at least 6 nice limbs that come up. So this one I'm gonna try and grow out tree form and hopefully grow out to the point where I get figs off of it this year. So the purpose of this video is I'm up potting this, and I'm gonna show you a couple of different things. A lot of people use buckets. Got water in my bucket. A lot of people I've seen use 5 gallon buckets to up pot their figs into and to grow them up into just mature trees to keep when they're doing strictly container trees, which is mainly what I'm doing. I'm gonna put a couple in the ground, but most of mine are gonna remain container figs. So this is a 5 gallon bucket. This is a Rootmaker 2 root trapper, and it is the exact same size as a 5 gallon bucket. And I'm going to show you this. I took this one earlier and actually put a 5 gallon bucket in it just to show you that it is exactly the same size as a 5 gallon bucket. I guess it's tiny, maybe a tiny bit bigger just because the bucket will fit into it. But the problem with these is they're smooth on the inside. So when the roots grow out and they hit the sides, they're going to circle around and just make a big mass of knotted up roots. These Rootmaker pots, the Rootmaker, regular Rootmaker pots have the little channels and then the holes that the root tips grow out of. It prunes the tips of the roots and they grow into a nice fibrous root system. And I'll pull this out in a second and you'll see what they look like. This one works a little bit different. It's got this fabric on the inside. And what happens is the roots hit this fabric and the root tip gets stuck and it can't go anywhere. So when it does that, this does the same thing as hitting the air over here, is it causes that root tip to die, and then the roots branch out inside. So you'll just get this big mass of roots inside here. I grew a pepper plant in one of these. I had to kind of destroy it getting it out. It was the ones that had died over the winter. But man, the roots were just so full and everything on that growing in one of these bags. It was a smaller size bag. So my point being, you go to Lowe's or Home Depot, you're gonna spend $5 on one of these buckets. You can get these for $11.15 off of Rootmaker's Garden Center website. And if you look down in the bottom, I have a discount code for 15% off. So for less than $10, you can get one of these bags for what you got here for $5. So what you've got invested into your fig, spend another $5, put it in something that's going to grow super healthy, good root system. And then the other advantages of this thing is white, so it protects it from the heat, where the sun's not beating down and killing the roots because of the black or the dark colored pots or containers. It'll absorb the heat and it'll kill the roots on the sun side of the container. And then it also has a different type fabric across the bottom to allow for drainage, so you won't overwater in these containers. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get started, and I'm going to go ahead and remove this one, and then I got some soil mixed up, and we'll go ahead and transplant this thing into this. So if you look right here, like I said, this thing is less than a year old, and you see how well that thing holds together. And I don't know, got a worm in there. I don't know how well you can see it on the video. I'll try and get a close-up where you can see that root system. It's just fibers, small fibrous roots all the way around, as opposed to if this thing was grown in a smooth container, you'd just see big old long roots just circling and circling and girdling and killing this plant eventually. So perfect root system right there. It's perfect time. It's ready to be up potted. So hopefully I'll get a lot of new growth out of this thing. So I've got my soil over here. And this is my regular up pot mix. This is what this one was grown in, and it's working great for me. And it's basically, it's a 75% peat moss, 75% hardwood mulch, and then 25% peat moss. And then I have the Rootmaker 8 fertilizer mixed into it. And I've got the video, I'll post a link up at the top of the video of how I did that mix, if you want to do something similar. I've had some people ask me too about the bark mulch, and they say they have a hard time finding it. That was the hardest thing for me to locate in my area. I'm gonna go a little bit deeper. Is finding a good ground bark mulch. This particular one I have, they call it a double grind, but it's ground really fine, so it works great. You just don't want big chunks. So just gonna kind of pack this in here a little bit, not super tight, but just enough to round the container out. And that's about right. That's about an inch or so from the top. So what I got to do now, just make sure that my tree is straight like I want it. That looks pretty good right there. And I'll just put some soil up on top and start filtering it around until it fills in along the sides. And I don't know whether I said it or not, this is the equivalent of a 7-gallon container. I found there was a video that guy did, and I'm not gonna say the name because I can't remember for sure who it was, but I'll try and post a link to his video on the bottom, where he did a great video on showing the difference between a 7-gallon nursery container compared to a 5-gallon bucket. And they actually hold the same amount of volume. And it has something to do with the way liquid measure is compared to solid measure. So that's the whole deal on that, but it was a real good video. But basically it's the same size. 5-gallon or 7-gallon nursery container is the same size as a 5-gallon liquid container, which your 5-gallon buckets like you see from Home Depot and Lowe's. Okay, so I think I got these packed in pretty good around the sides, and I'm back pretty much at the same level. Move my tag up a little bit. And I don't know if I said it or not, this is a Basilica Black. Well, I got a lot of these to move up, so I'm gonna try and take at least one tree of every variety I have, which I've got over 100 varieties going right now. But I'm gonna try and try and get at least one of all the varieties that I plan on keeping. Get one big enough, get it potted up into one of these 7-gallon containers, and then I can take these and either move them in the greenhouse in the winter or move them in the garage somewhere where they can survive the winter months, which here it's a month, maybe a month and a half of times when you get freezing temperatures. So anyway, so that's it. And the other thing on these too, you can buy these containers a little bit cheaper without the handles. I think it was like $2 more to get the handles put on them. And I just did that because it's going to make them really easy to move around, because they will get moved in the winter. You know, if I got to move 20, 30, 40 of these things inside in the wintertime, the handles are going to be really handy. So that's it. I'll take this thing, I'll get it watered in good, put it out in the sunshine, and it should start branching out and make me a nice tree. Hopefully I'll get some figs off this one this year. Anyway, I appreciate you watching. Please share, please like, please subscribe. Thank you. Bye.